In the realm of correctional facilities, a select few stand out not for their punitive measures, but for their emphasis on rehabilitation and humane treatment. One such institution is Halden Prison in Norway, often referred to as the world's most humane prison. Established in 2010, Halden was designed with the philosophy that treating inmates with respect and providing a supportive environment can lead to genuine rehabilitation. Unlike traditional prisons characterized by stark cells and harsh conditions, Halden offers inmates private rooms equipped with comfortable beds, en-suite bathrooms, and flat-screen televisions. The architecture emphasizes natural light, with large windows that overlook wooded landscapes, creating a sense of openness and connection to nature. This design aims to reduce the psychological stress associated with confinement. The prison's facilities include a fully equipped gym, a music studio where inmates can record their compositions, and a kitchen where they can learn culinary skills. These amenities are not merely luxuries, but are integral to the prison's rehabilitative programs, aiming to equip inmates with skills and hobbies that can aid their reintegration into society. Halden's staff-to-inmate ratio is notably high, ensuring that each prisoner receives personalized attention. Guards and inmates interact regularly, often sharing meals and participating in activities together. This approach fosters mutual respect and diminishes the us versus them mentality prevalent in many correctional facilities. Educational opportunities are abundant at Halden. Inmates can pursue courses ranging from vocational training to university-level subjects. The prison collaborates with external educators to provide a curriculum that meets national standards, ensuring that inmates do not fall behind academically during their incarceration. Healthcare services within the prison are comprehensive. Inmates have access to medical, dental, and psychological care, mirroring the healthcare available to the general Norwegian population. This holistic approach addresses both the physical and mental well-being of the inmates, recognizing that health is a crucial component of successful rehabilitation. The culinary program at Halden is particularly noteworthy. Inmates work alongside professional chefs to prepare meals, learning skills that can be transferred to employment upon release. This program not only provides practical skills, but also promotes teamwork and a sense of accomplishment. Art plays a significant role in the prison's environment. The walls are adorned with murals and artworks created by both inmates and renowned artists. This infusion of art creates a stimulating environment and allows inmates to express themselves creatively, aiding in emotional processing and personal growth. Recreational activities are diverse, catering to various interests. Inmates can participate in sports, music, and even theater productions. These activities provide constructive outlets for energy and emotions, reducing the likelihood of conflicts and promoting a positive community atmosphere. Family visits are facilitated in a manner that maintains bonds. The prison provides family visiting units that resemble small apartments, allowing inmates to spend extended time with their loved ones in a private setting. This approach acknowledges the importance of family support in the rehabilitation process. Halden's philosophy extends to its staff training programs. Guards undergo extensive training that includes conflict resolution, human rights education, and communication skills. This ensures that they are not only enforcers of rules, but also facilitators of rehabilitation. The prison's approach has garnered international attention and praise. Studies have shown that inmates released from Halden have lower recidivism rates compared to those from more traditional prisons. This suggests that the humane treatment and rehabilitative focus have tangible benefits for both the individuals and society at large. Critics argue that such amenities are too lenient for individuals who have committed crimes. However, proponents counter that the primary goal of incarceration should be rehabilitation, not punishment for its own sake. They argue that by providing a supportive environment, inmates are more likely to reintegrate successfully, reducing future crime rates. The design of Halden also emphasizes sustainability. The prison incorporates energy-efficient systems and utilizes green technologies, reflecting Norway's commitment to environmental responsibility. This aspect also educates inmates about sustainable practices, which they can carry into their lives post-release. Security measures at Halden are subtle yet effective. While the prison lacks the overt fortifications seen in many institutions, It employs advanced surveillance technologies and architectural designs that ensure security without creating an oppressive atmosphere. Inmates are encouraged to take responsibility for their daily routines. They manage their schedules, participate in decision-making processes, and are held accountable for their actions. This autonomy fosters a sense of responsibility and prepares them for life outside the prison walls. The community within Halden operates on mutual respect. Inmates and staff address each other by first names, and there is a conscious effort to eliminate the power dynamics that can lead to resentment and rebellion. This egalitarian approach contributes to a peaceful and cooperative environment. Halden's approach challenges traditional notions of incarceration. It posits that treating inmates with dignity and providing opportunities for personal growth can lead to more effective rehabilitation than punitive measures alone. This model has sparked discussions worldwide about prison reform and the potential benefits of adopting similar approaches elsewhere. The success of Halden has led other countries to reevaluate their correctional systems. Delegations from various nations have visited the prison to study its methods, and some have implemented pilot programs inspired by Halden's philosophy. This indicates a growing recognition of the need for reform in the global approach to incarceration. Despite its many successes, Halden is not without challenges. Managing a diverse inmate population requires continuous adaptation and sensitivity to individual needs. The prison administration remains committed to evolving and improving its programs to address these challenges effectively. The financial aspect of running such a facility is also a point of discussion. Halden's operational costs are significantly higher than those of conventional prisons, leading some critics to question whether the benefits justify the expenses. However, supporters argue that the long-term reduction in recidivism ultimately saves money by decreasing the overall prison population. Another point of debate is whether such a model could work in countries with larger prison populations. Norway's incarceration rate is relatively low compared to nations like the United States, making it easier to maintain a facility like Halden. Scaling such a model to a system with hundreds of thousands of inmates would require significant systemic changes. Nevertheless, Halden's approach has inspired other nations to implement small-scale initiatives that emphasize rehabilitation over punishment. Countries such as Germany and the Netherlands have adopted similar policies, focusing on humane treatment and education programs within their correctional systems. These efforts suggest a growing global interest in prison reform. The role of psychology in Halden's success cannot be understated. By addressing the mental health needs of inmates and creating an environment of stability, the prison reduces the likelihood of violent outbursts and relapses into criminal behavior. This holistic approach ensures that inmates leave the facility in a better mental state than when they arrived. The daily routines of inmates at Halden are carefully structured to promote discipline and personal responsibility. They are expected to maintain their own living spaces, adhere to schedules, and engage in productive activities. This sense of routine is crucial for individuals who may have lacked structure in their previous lives. Education remains one of the prison's most praised aspects. The ability for inmates to earn academic qualifications or learn vocational skills means that they are more employable upon release. By giving them a legitimate path to reintegration, Halden decreases the chances that former inmates will return to criminal activities. Employment opportunities for ex-inmates remain a challenge globally. Many employers are hesitant to hire individuals with criminal records, even if they have undergone rehabilitation. Halden's administrators work closely with industries to create partnerships that provide job opportunities to those leaving the facility. The arts program within Halden continues to evolve. Inmates participate in painting, sculpture, and even music production, with some recording their own albums. These creative outlets provide therapeutic benefits and allow inmates to express themselves in ways they may not have before. Music is particularly significant at Halden, with inmates having access to a professional-grade recording studio. Many have taken advantage of this to create original works, some of which have even been released to the public. This program fosters creativity and provides an alternative to destructive behaviors. The role of physical fitness is also emphasized. The prison gym is equipped with modern workout equipment, and inmates are encouraged to participate in team sports. Physical activity not only improves health but also serves as a positive outlet for stress and aggression. One of the most unique aspects of Halden is its library. Stocked with a wide range of books, it allows inmates to continue learning and expanding their minds. Reading has been shown to reduce stress and improve cognitive function, making this resource invaluable to the prison's rehabilitative mission. Religion and spirituality also play a role in the prison's rehabilitative efforts. Inmates have access to chaplains and religious services, regardless of their faith. These programs provide guidance, support, and a sense of community for those seeking spiritual growth. The prison's connection with the outside world is carefully managed. Inmates are allowed to maintain contact with family and friends, reinforcing their support systems. This helps ensure that they do not feel isolated, which can be a major factor in recidivism. Technology is used thoughtfully within Halden. While inmates have access to computers, their internet usage is restricted to educational and rehabilitative purposes. This balance ensures that technology serves as a tool for growth rather than a distraction. Conflict resolution is a major focus of the prison's operations. Rather than relying on strict punishment for infractions, Halden encourages mediation and dialogue between inmates and staff. This approach fosters a sense of accountability and personal growth. Halden's long-term effectiveness is still being studied. While initial reports show promising results, researchers continue to analyze data to determine the full impact of the prison's rehabilitative model. The findings could shape the future of prison reform worldwide. One of the most significant successes of Halden is the reduction in violence within the facility. The emphasis on respect and rehabilitation has led to a calmer environment, benefiting both inmates and staff. This contrasts sharply with the violent outbreaks seen in many traditional prisons. Halden also demonstrates the importance of trust in the rehabilitative process. By treating inmates as individuals capable of change, the system fosters self-improvement rather than resentment. This trust is reflected in the relatively low number of escape attempts and disciplinary issues. The success of Halden's model challenges the notion that harsh punishment is the only way to maintain order in prisons. IT suggests that investing in education, mental health, and humane treatment can be more effective in reducing crime in the long run. Despite its many benefits, Halden's model is not without its skeptics. Some argue that certain criminals, particularly those convicted of violent offenses, should not receive such privileges. This debate highlights the ongoing struggle between punishment and rehabilitation in the justice system. Looking ahead, the future of prison reform will likely be influenced by Halden's success. Governments and policymakers continue to study its impact, weighing the potential for broader implementation. While challenges remain, Halden stands as a compelling case study in humane incarceration. The idea of humane incarceration is still a controversial topic in many parts of the world. While some view Halden as a model for reform, others see it as being too lenient on criminals. This divide in opinions highlights the cultural differences in how societies approach justice and rehabilitation. One of the biggest criticisms of the prison is that it might not be suitable for all types of offenders. While it works well for those willing to change, some argue that hardened criminals or repeat offenders might exploit the system without truly rehabilitating. This raises questions about whether Halden's model should be adapted for different categories of inmates. Despite this criticism, Norway's overall crime rate remains low, and the country has one of the lowest recidivism rates in the world. This suggests that even if some inmates do not change, the majority benefit from the system. For policymakers, this serves as evidence that investment in rehabilitation can be more effective than long-term incarceration. Comparing Halden to high-security prisons in the United States or Latin America highlights stark differences in how prisoners are treated. In many other parts of the world, inmates endure overcrowding, violence, and inhumane conditions, which often lead to further criminal behavior rather than reform. In contrast, Halden's environment promotes personal responsibility. Inmates are given opportunities to learn and grow, but they must also take initiative. Those who choose not to engage in programs or disrupt the facility face consequences, showing that the system is not simply about luxury but about structured rehabilitation. The training of prison staff is another key aspect of Halden's success. Guards undergo extensive psychological and de-escalation training, which allows them to manage conflicts without resorting to aggression. This approach reduces violence and fosters a more positive prison culture. Some argue that the level of comfort in Halden could be demotivating for law-abiding citizens. If prisoners have access to better facilities than some struggling individuals in society, critics say this creates an imbalance in justice. However, supporters counter that reducing crime benefits the entire society in the long run. The prison's emphasis on normalcy is a deliberate strategy. By keeping inmates in an environment that resembles everyday life, Halden reduces the shock of reintegration into society. This is in stark contrast to harsher prisons, where inmates are often released without any preparation, increasing their chances of reoffending. Halden is also designed to prevent the formation of prison gangs. The open and structured nature of the facility discourages the hierarchical power structures that exist in many traditional prisons, where violent gangs often run the prison from within. The focus on mental health is also a major contributor to Halden's low violence rates. Many traditional prisons neglect or even exacerbate inmates' psychological conditions, while Halden actively works to address them. Therapy, medication, and structured activities help inmates manage emotions and develop coping skills. One of the lesser-known aspects of Halden is its aftercare programs. The prison does not simply release inmates and hope for the best. It maintains connections with social services to ensure former prisoners have housing, employment opportunities, and community support. This continuity of care is one of the reasons Norway has such a low reoffending rate. By providing a structured path post-incarceration, Halden increases the chances that former inmates will stay on the right track. The concept of restorative justice plays a role in Halden's philosophy. While punitive systems focus on making criminals suffer for their actions, restorative justice emphasizes repairing harm, rehabilitating offenders, and reintegrating them as productive members of society. However, this approach is not universally accepted. In more punitive systems, particularly in the United States, incarceration is often seen as a form of justice for victims. The idea of making prison life more humane is met with resistance, especially from those who have suffered due to crime. Some former inmates from Halden have become vocal advocates for prison reform. Having experienced both traditional and rehabilitative prison models, they argue that systems like Halden's lead to better outcomes for individuals and society. Their testimonies have influenced policymakers in other countries, sparking discussions on how prison systems should evolve. While large-scale changes may take time, many nations are experimenting with rehabilitative elements inspired by Halden. One area where Halden has been particularly successful is in preventing juvenile offenders from becoming career criminals. Young offenders who enter the system early are given education and mentorship, steering them away from a future in crime. Research suggests that early intervention is one of the most effective ways to reduce crime rates. By focusing on rehabilitation from the start, Halden's model prevents minor offenders from becoming repeat offenders. The economic argument for humane prisons is gaining traction. Studies indicate that keeping individuals in harsh prison environments without rehabilitation leads to higher long-term costs due to repeated incarcerations and crime rates. Halden's system, despite its higher upfront cost, may ultimately save money by reducing the overall prison population. This cost-benefit analysis is something many governments are beginning to take into account when considering prison reform. The impact of Halden extends beyond its inmates. Prison staff members report higher job satisfaction compared to those in traditional correctional facilities. Working in an environment focused on rehabilitation rather than punishment reduces stress and burnout among prison employees. International organizations have taken notice of Halden's model, with criminal justice experts studying its effects. While full adoption of the system may not be feasible everywhere, elements of its approach are being tested in prisons worldwide. For example, some U.S. states have introduced vocational training and mental health programs modeled after Halden. While these efforts are on a smaller scale, they indicate a shift in perspective on what prisons should aim to achieve. Another key factor in Halden's success is its transparency. The prison allows journalists, researchers, and even international delegations to visit and assess its operations, ensuring accountability in how it functions. Many inmates at Halden express gratitude for the second chance they have been given. Instead of leaving prison with more resentment and a lack of options, they exit with skills, a support network, and a plan for the future. This raises the question of whether rehabilitation should be the primary goal of all prison systems. If punishment alone does not reduce crime, then investing in rehabilitation could be a more effective strategy. The effectiveness of Norway's prison system is often contrasted with countries that rely on mass incarceration. The United States, for example, has the highest incarceration rate in the world, yet struggles with high recidivism rates. If Halden's approach were more widely implemented, it could challenge the notion that prisons must be harsh to deter crime. Instead, it suggests that humane treatment, education, and social reintegration are the true keys to lowering crime. Of course, no system is perfect. There will always be cases where rehabilitation does not work, and some criminals will reoffend regardless of the resources provided. However, the overall success of Halden indicates that more people benefit from rehabilitation than from pure punishment. Looking forward, the debate over prison reform will continue. While some nations are hesitant to change, others are gradually embracing elements of the Halden model to see if rehabilitation can work on a broader scale. The next step for Halden is to refine its programs further, using data and research to improve outcomes. Continuous adaptation will be necessary to address new challenges and ensure the prison remains effective. Many former inmates remain connected to the prison even after their release, whether through mentorship programs or speaking engagements. Their experiences serve as real-world proof that a second chance can lead to positive change. Ultimately, Halden is not just a prison. It is a social experiment that challenges the very foundation of modern incarceration. Its impact on global prison reform is still unfolding, but it has already proven that a different approach to justice is possible. The discussion surrounding Halden forces societies to reconsider their stance on crime and punishment. If reducing crime is the ultimate goal, then humane rehabilitation may be the most effective long-term solution. As debates over justice reform continue, Halden stands as a testament to the idea that people can change if given the right support. Whether or not other nations follow its lead remains to be seen, but its influence on the global conversation is undeniable. The financial aspect of running such a facility is also a point of discussion.